Well, cheers for joining us, Greg.
My pleasure, thank you.
How has SouthStart been for you so far?
What an awesome event. It's fantastic seeing some community like Adelaide and the startup community coming together here and putting on such a great show, great speakers.
Have you been here for a couple of days, or?
I arrived yesterday. I came. They talked me into coming to Adelaide because they said I could get an early taste of summer, and I just got a taste of what the weather is like back home.
Yeah. So yesterday was wild.
It really was wild. So everybody assures me that Adelaide's not normally like this. So this is my first visit, but really excited to be here.
Well, and how have you found it so far? Obviously, been here for a day, but
amazing. It's a beautiful city, really friendly people. Hopefully the weather continues to improve, and I get to look around a little bit more.
Did you get to the dinner last night at Africola? Or?
Yeah. What a fabulous restaurant. So amazing food.
Yeah, really good show. I think I liked how they set it up. It was and some great conversations. I ended up having some really interesting conversations with people. It was I think one of the things that they're really trying to do with the event is just get different people doing similar things in one room and start sparking some of these conversations, right?
Yeah. For me, it's always fantastic when you can bring entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs together into a group and help people understand some of the challenges, help people understand that their experiences maybe not different to any other people's experiences. So giving people the opportunity to learn from other people's mistakes and other people's stories. So I'm always very excited at the opportunity to participate in events like this.
You're based in Auckland?
Yeah, Auckland's home, although my wife would tell you 35,000 feet is where I spend most of my time. So that was London and Dubai last week. It's Adelaide this week. I think I get a week at home before it's America next. So
yeah, sure. So I had a quick look into sort of Soul Machines and what you do. Pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. I've been building tech startups and doing tech stuff for 30 years, and this is by far the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And so literally, I have to pinch myself every day that I can actually go to work and have so much freaking fun.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it for people that don't know what you do?
Yeah, you can. We make digital humans. We bring them to life in a very, very unique way, and with some very, very deep science and research out of that started at the University of Auckland. So we've literally created a virtual nervous system. So the guys in our company who are way, 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 way smarter than me, our neuroscientists, our engineers, our physiologists, have actually spent time building models of different subsystems of the human brain.
Wow.
Obviously the subsystems that we understand how they work, because even the best neuroscientists in the world don't know how much of our brain works. So, but they've built this virtual nervous system which enables us to synthesize human behavior in real time. So that we can autonomously animate digital characters. So cool. Another way of thinking about it is literally putting a face on artificial intelligence.
And I think that I'm just reading through some of the commercial applications. Obviously, customer service is one that comes through first, but I think there's lots of applications where that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, look, there are, the applications of technology like this, is literally limited by your imagination. Yeah. So. And Mark and I have a lot of fun coming up with crazy ideas. So I talked briefly on stage about bringing Vincent van Gogh back to life. Why? Yeah. Because we thought it would be cool to see how people would feel about interacting with somebody that's been dead for a long, long time. So he's a super interesting character that continues to people continue to be intrigued about. So what would it be like for people today to actually interact with a digital version, in a very natural-like way? So these are the sorts of use cases and opportunities we get to explore.
It's exciting stuff. So 30 years you've been working in tech. Obviously, seen some big changes in that time. Yeah. How do you see the next 30 years? Is it? Are we still on this sort of exponential curve, or?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. The next 10 years are going to be more exciting. I think is a more exciting period in the development of technology and the application of technology than ever before. It's also going to be a very scary time in many respects in terms of the implications of that technology. So it's going to be a period of time where there are going to be some really interesting conversations that we're going to have to be prepared to have as people, as humans, as part of organisations, as part of communities, as part of countries. That there's going to be a lot that challenges us and the way we look at it, and we can be scared of it, or we can be frightened of it, or we can see it as an exciting opportunity. I think the really, really important thing is people have to feel and have to want to participate in some pretty key debates going forward. So
and the ethics around AI, and I suppose where things potentially go down the track has been something that we've been talking about this afternoon, especially in the sort of AI track. And I think it does sort of go from fear on one end and real sort of unrest about systems and about some of the implications that as humans that we're sort of giving some of our humanity potentially over to to machines. And on the flip side, all these amazing things that are going to be possible because of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of the questions around some of the ethics and some of the changes in legal frameworks that are going to be required, are going to be, really, really, really important issues. And these are issues that we're not going to be able to shirk away from. These are issues that our politicians are going to have to become a lot smarter about. People who feel strongly about this are going to have to want to get involved in the political debate and arena, because without a doubt that the regulatory frameworks that we need to evolve are going to be incredibly important to us. But at the same time, we get the opportunity to do some really exciting things. I mean, the simple reality is there are lots of kids in even New Zealand and Australia that don't have access to the sorts of teachers they need to have access to, or the doctors and healthcare that they should, so these are pretty fundamental and basic services. So being able to change that paradigm, for us, the opportunity to do that, we think is incredibly exciting. It will open up new worlds for, hopefully for kids and for communities that, in many respects, may have lost some level of hope over the last few decades. So you got to, you look at this and you
weigh it up.
You look at it. So I'm an optimist.
Yep.
I have a utopian view of our future as opposed to a dystopian or pessimistic view.
Sure. What's your personal relationship with technology, especially in, I suppose, the last 15 years? With the phones and the way we sort of interact with devices, like.
Oh, I don't guess I'm any different to anybody else. I'm in the tech industry. I'm an early adopter of technology. I like to understand the implications for me. I'm an entrepreneur, so I like to look for business opportunities, which I find inspiring and interesting. Things that have the potential to make a difference to the way people live their lives. So they're the sorts of ways I look at technology. I certainly don't believe in technology for the sake of technology.
Okay.
But as I say, it is an integral part of our life. It's you can't talk about a single industry in the world and not have a and not be agnostic or have no opinion about the impact technology is having on terms of shaping that industry or a particular society or even a particular community, because the reality is it does.
And there's so much exciting about it. So I think I consider myself an optimist in that sense as well, and sort of the amazing things that are going to be possible and the exciting things, right? It's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, no, look, as I say, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I've never had so much fun in my life. So it really is. It's a hugely exciting time to be alive. I just wish I was 30 years younger and starting all over again.
What was it like? So did you start businesses in Auckland? That's where you grew up.
Yeah. I grew up. I grew up in farming, in and around Taranaki and Waikato, and farming communities.
Okay.
Got sent to the big smoke, which is Auckland, in our part of the world, to go to boarding school. Yep. Dropped out of university and started working for an amazing entrepreneur who was in the high-tech world of plastics manufacturing, and he inspired me to want to compete, build businesses on a global stage and compete on a global stage. He inspired me to start a tech career, and we actually ended up setting up a company and working together. And he became my investor and joint venture partner in the first company that I was part of. So, and it's kind of just sort of gone from there. We built a software company in New Zealand, then Australia, and then I moved to Boston. Never been to the US before. Made every mistake in the book, lots of scar tissue, but we didn't. We did ultimately end up selling that company, and the next part of my journey took me to Canada for a couple of years. So I've kind of floated around the world doing interesting stuff.
It's interesting, that in that first role, having that someone that can give you that global outlook. And I think part of what SouthStart's trying to talk about, and I think what SA needs to think is, looking out to the world and not just thinking sort of insular and thinking on that small level. Yeah,
I mean, look, I can live. I've been successful in my career. I've had a couple of exits. I can live anywhere in the world I like. I like living in New Zealand. It's home. I mean, Auckland is home for me. But I do business on the world stage. I've never ever been inspired by being a New Zealand business person, and that's to take nothing away from other people who see that as their mission and their vision in life.
Sure.
For me, it's always been this drive that I've had to prove that I can compete in markets on the other side of the world. I can compete. My businesses can compete with the best that Silicon Valley has to offer. So that's always been kind of what has intrigued me, made me curious, made me want to get out on the world and do it.
And I suppose there isn't barriers against it. And I think people sometimes perceive from South Australia, there isn't the opportunities here, but you have to make opportunities for yourself, right?
Yeah, these days, I believe you can do anything you want from anywhere in the world that you want today. The world's a lot smaller, and everything's a lot more, I guess frictionless is the way I'd describe it. So, when I first went to the US back in the late 80s, Rule 101 of Silicon Valley was if you can't drive to it, don't invest in it. So, the VCs absolutely believe that if you literally couldn't interact with your investee companies on a day-to-day basis, you shouldn't invest in it. Well, that's not the case today. The US VCs invest all over the world, Australia, New Zealand. There are now VCs all over the world. Yes. So the best investors, the smartest investors in the world, literally can find high-quality companies and great entrepreneurs anywhere in the world. So if you have a great idea, you put together a great team, you execute really well, you have the opportunity to attract the best capital in the world. But let's be really clear: not everybody gets that opportunity.
No,
it is, it is something that at the end of the day, only the best of the best will attract great VCs. So to me, that's just the bar that you have to be focused on, and you have to climb over.
Looking back in hindsight, what are some of the what are some of the, I suppose, decisions that you've made that have helped get you to those exits? Because often I think when you're in business, you're running so fast that you're making decisions every single day, but you don't actually. You sometimes look back and think, wow, that was a pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, I don't often. Look, you learn a lot as you go along. For me, there's never been any substitute for an incredible level of curiosity. Huge amount of hard work, because it is very, very. It is tough. Work and the support of some great people behind you. For me, they're the platform with which I get to do what I do in my life, and I've been lucky enough to get beyond the adventure that I have. For me, it's never been about the money. It really has been an amazing adventure. I can look back and say, there's not too much I'd change about.
That's great.
The things that I've done in my life.
curiosity is something we've touched on a lot today, actually, and needing to have that, that curious mind, and giving yourself space to actually, allow time to breathe, and actually, I suppose, give yourself, time to let curiosity come back into your life. Because I think a lot of us, you obviously have it as a child, but then you sort of get stuck in your ways and stuck in a flow of adulthood.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I mean, when you're doing work like what we're doing at Soul Machines, and you're running 1,000,000 miles an hour. I mean, taking a couple of days out, like to come to an event like this, for me is a wonderful opportunity to be inspired by other people, to be grateful for the things that that I have going for me. So I mean it's opportunities like that. There's an opportunity to give back in some respects, but it's also breathing space to
Reset a bit.
To reset, look at look at the creativity angle of your business again, because at the end of the day, what I'm doing, what we're doing here at Soul Machines, there are no exact models.
Sure.
We still don't. 2.5 years down the track, we still don't know what we don't know. So you got to be driven by an insatiable desire and a level of honesty which drives you to find out what you don't know.
That's exciting. One of the things that I think young entrepreneurs, especially at events like this, I always love chatting to speakers, because often that you come to this and they're the ones that are vibing and most stoked of actually listening to other people. And I think young entrepreneurs often think, well, once you've made it, that's it. You're there, and but you want to be constantly learning, and it can't ever stop.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely right. I mean, the concept of retirement to me scares the hell out of me. I mean, I love what I do. I love getting on a plane. As much as I hate the plane rides, I love going to new places, meeting new people, and figuring out new ways to help them. So I mean, that's incredibly energizing. The jet lag. I mean, I just wish somebody would figure out a way for us to get to the other side of the world in minutes instead of days. So
that would be incredible.
Yeah.
So you're hanging around for the next couple of days? Or?
Yeah. I'm here till I'm going to spend part of the weekend here, and
nice.
Hopefully the weather improves.
Yeah. I'll hopefully get to enjoy some of the local food and wine.
Well, I mean, the hospitality has been fantastic, so I'm sure we'll get to do that.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for the chat.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Cheers, Greg.